Good morning and a very warm welcome to you. And this is Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And joining me this morning is, as usual, Bandula Jayasekara, the former diplomat and senior journalist. Good morning, Bandula.
Good morning, Faraz. Because I thought since you are wearing blue all the time, I'm going to match with green.
Indeed. But very well color coordinated, and joining us on the other side of the seat is Maitri Gunaratne, currently the chairman of the Lanka Coal Company, UNP member and activist. And very good morning to you.
Morning.
And attorney at law as well. We mustn't forget that very important bit.
In neutral colors.
In neutral colors, but very matching.
Yeah.
Well done. Our producer, well done for telling you about this. Maitri, I really must ask you this question. What do you think is happening to the United National Party? I mean, there was a stage when you were very active and vocal and so on and calling for change. Is the UNP in good hands? Are they on a good, sound wicket?
Direct answer to your question, no.
Right.
We have not stopped the agitations either.
Right.
Only thing is we have gone silent for the time being, because otherwise what will happen is people will perceive us as always people who are causing trouble. So therefore, after the government was formed, we went silent.
Yeah.
People have given us a mandate to perform, and you have to perform. Once you're in opposition, you have to be vociferous. But once you are given a mandate to form a government, and you have formed the government, then you have to perform. But now, when you see what is happening, it is not a very, very encouraging picture, because we feel that this present government is lagging. There is no plan. There is no direction. So therefore, I would say it is time for all the UNPs to think and come together and do a reassessment of as to where we should go.
But, you know, in my mind, Maitri, sorry to battle on about this, but in my mind, the UNP, all of you all have been waiting and hoping from time immemorial. Well, ever since Mr. Vikram Singh has taken over as leader.
No, so that is what
you're fed up?
No. Yeah, that is right. People who got fed up left the UNP and joined the government.
Yeah.
Right? But I think I belong to a dwindling minority where we feel that tomorrow can be made a better day. So I have been fighting. I still will continue to fight. I mean, there is no doubt about it. But we are just waiting for the opportune time. And now, at village level, at district level, people are absolutely dissatisfied the way the party is going. And the party leader, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, doesn't seem to care as to what happens to the party supporter. I mean, I feel, has his friends whom he's helping around, and he's having a good time.
But Maitri, this is not entirely a UNP government. It's a coalition. There's SLFP and other people also in the government.
No, Mr. Jayasekara, now, if you take the government, I think they are serious. President Maithripala Sirisena is serious when he is in what he is doing. Because if you take the ministries, how it has been divided, all the ministries which can cause some kind of impact to the village have been retained with the SLFP. All the colourful, flamboyant ministries, prestigious ministries, the UNP has taken. Now, if you take the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Samurdhi, then the Power and Energy, it has been divided into two. Right? When you take these ministries, now these are ministries which can cause an impact at village level. It can give employment, because whatever said and done, all political parties, all followers expect a certain amount of government jobs by getting a government into power, bringing a government into power. So now we can see that the UNP supporter, that is becoming a distant dream for the UNP supporter. Because they go, we'll say, you take the Galle district, we have got 2 ministers. And the two ministers cannot give that much of jobs. Whereas as opposed to the SLFP, one minister is the Minister of Energy, and the other is the Deputy Minister of Ports. So now those are places perceived to at least have jobs.
Even fisheries, if you look at Hambantota,
Hambantota, fisheries. Now these are ministries which are clearly close to the people. So they are talking serious business. They are talking the approach of the president with regard to his party, I feel, is spot on. Whereas we are going completely on the wrong track.
Just touching on the ports for a second. How on earth can we have any more jobs there? The kitchen in the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, and this harbour bath is very famous, is probably South Asia's largest commercial kitchen. It supplies over 13,000 meals every day, right? I think there are 13,000 people working there, and if they supply, even if it's 3, but it's actually 4, because you also get tea, that's 52,000 meals a day, and multiply that by, say, 400 rupees, you can begin to get a scale of the monies that is involved. And so it's no surprise to me that the port runs at such a blessed loss, because there is a complete lethargy when it comes to being accountable about this money. It's almost as though it's given that the port must lose money.
And for us, who is running that kitchen? That is also a question.
Exactly, but it's and as for jobs, when I think it was during the tenure of Mr. Chamal Rajapaksa, I happened to be present within the offices there, and I inadvertently opened one door, and it was a small room, from floor to ceiling. It was full of files, and there was one man seated there, and so I said, "I'm sorry, I'm looking for the secretary." And I said, "By the way, what is this room?" And he said, because I'm a journalist and I'm nosy, so I said, "What is this room?" And he said, "This is where we keep all the applications for employment." Bundler is floor to ceiling. So every minister, and apparently the then president was the biggest culprit, if you like, or recommends people for jobs, and then it ends up in a file, and then file ends up there, and it's dutifully filed.
You forgot to take a photograph of that room.
No, I couldn't possibly do that, because I only stumbled into this room. I didn't go there by design. Okay, so coming back to this thing with the UNP, so there's no coherent. Who's going to be the next leader?
The UNP.
Yes. In the unlikely event that dear Prime Minister decides that he's had enough is enough, I'm going to tour the world with Merge and Maitri, and I'm giving up. So then who's going to be the leader?
I don't think that's going to ever happen for us.
No, that's true.
That's not going to happen.
No
way.
That won't happen.
He won't leave. He won't. This is the best job he can get, and he's not going to leave this for anything else. There is no doubt about it.
Right. So the UNP is still, shall I say, aimlessly ambling along?
Yes, you're perfectly correct.
And for us also in the Sinhala program, to bring it to your notice, that Maitri said that the Prime Minister, when he was leader of opposition, was backed and supported by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, and he said that they have evidence.
We have evidence to that. That because President Mahinda Rajapaksa, being an astute politician, would have been very comfortable with a leader of the opposition like Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Right.
So he did everything to protect him.
Right.
As a president, as a strategist, I think he did the right thing.
Yeah.
Right. So on 2 occasions, as I told in the Sinhalese program, once we wanted to do a satyagraha in front of Sirikota, that is asking him to step down.
Yeah.
And when we planned it, suddenly the next day the whole road was closed, saying that the road is going to be tarred. Now it had been tarred 6 months ago.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
So they closed the road, police were put, and That was done. Second incident was when there was a party election for the election of its leader, deputy leader and the national organizer. We were supporting Mr. Karuja Surya, Mr. Sajid Premadas and Dasri Jayasekara. And the result was completely warped. I mean, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe again emerged because the working committee apparently had appointed him, and Sajid had managed to somehow scrape through. Dasri was out and Dayagamage was in. So the people did not believe this result, and there was a spontaneous reaction where stones were thrown and things like that. So the easiest thing was give the names of the main guys who were agitating against Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. We were arrested within 4 hours. 14 police jeeps were put for the arrest of all of us. Right? And that was a time where journalists were killed and there were no investigations. Right? So for 14 police jeeps, police to come and just take us up pick us up from the houses and produce us and remand us who was helping him? Then thereafter, when Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe again amended the constitution and he was going to be made party leader for another 6 years, there was more than 3,000 STF personnel and army police personnel guarding in and around Sirikota, thinking that there will be another incident like that. So, I mean, it was extremely clear, that, I mean, he was fostered by the President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
And shockingly, this is the man who is now Prime Minister.
Definitely.
It doesn't really augur well. If I was a member of the UNP, I would be very worried.
Yeah, we are all worried. Even the party supporter is now, I feel I should use the word repenting for what has happened, because they say it is better to have been in opposition than being humiliated by being in government.
So what happened to all these people who are now, or some of them are now ministers? Okay, you are not, but you were also part of this call to get him to step down. I know at least one cabinet minister with a very serious portfolio today who was sort of a broker and who told him that he is not popular at grassroots and that he must step down in the interest of the party. But that man's today serving under Ranil Wickremesinghe in the cabinet.
Yeah.
So what happened to all these calls for him to step down?
The point is, for us, most of these ministers and politicians, they have invested a lot of time and money in getting into those places. I mean, I don't think they want to just throw it up or just throw it away by challenging. Now, for instance, you take Buddhika Patirana.
Yeah.
Now, Buddhika Patirana is paying the price for having challenged or having spoken against or spoken according to his conscience.
Indeed.
Right? So how many Buddhika Patiranas will you get?
True.
Right? So all of these people who are holding these positions, I mean, there is a certain amount of, like they have, or the want to hold those positions to, I suppose, to help their people and, take this thing forward is greater than their conscience and their independence and what stand for what is right.
We'll discuss this again. We're going to take a short break, a commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to Newsline, live from Dawson Street in Colombo with Bandula Jayasekara and Maitri Gunaratne. So, Maitri, just to sort of drive the point home, the UNP is virtually rudderless.
Definitely.
And everybody's too busy doing what they have with the little sort of morsels that have come their way.
That's right.
And they're scurrying around, doing or trying to do things, but it's a very serious predicament that they are in.
Definitely.
Because after 29 electoral defeats at various levels, they have been unable to form a majority government. Isn't that the bottom line?
Even this election for us, if you take it, I mean, UNP couldn't get 113. The last moment, I think it was about 4 or 5 days before nominations were closed, people like Mr. Champika Ranawaka, Arjuna Ranatunga, the caliber of those people joined the UNP or the UNF, and as a result of that, that added a little more color to the UNP platform. They were the main speakers. So and that was that propelled the UNP to get this number of votes in Parliament, right? But they still couldn't make the 113 mark. So can you just imagine if these gentlemen did not come under the UNF, what would the result have been? Right. So it is not a rosy picture in the UNP, right? And I feel there was a need to change the Rajapaksa administration, and they bought in. We were all able to bring in President Maithripala Sirisena as the president, and that goodwill, I would say, carried or was able. The UNP was able to win the part of that goodwill for this election. But if they go at this rate, and we have to face another election in another 2-3 months, I mean, I am a bit scared to see what
the provincial elections,
the local government elections, which are coming in March. Right?
Yeah.
I'm scared to see what the result is.
What do you think? What do you think is Ranil Wickremesinghe's appeal to that he has that appeals to President Sirisena?
There is a perception that Ranil can put the economy right.
I'm so glad that you used the right word. Perception. Perception. You call all these people who are running businesses and they'll tell you that this perception is nonsense.
Nonsense, precisely. So that one thing is there's a perception that he can put it right. There's a perception that his foreign relationship and he has got a lot of foreign contacts and they will help him. So I suppose the president is relying on them, and therefore he has given this position to him, and I think his patience also will wear out the way things are going.
Personally, I just hope that President Sirisena's patience wears out fast now. But to more mundane and more actually interesting matters, certainly the people who follow investigative journalism. Lanka Call. You are the chairman of Lanka Call, and I have written lock, stock and barrel about Lanka Call. Okay?
And got nearly even shot.
Yes, and some people
Call.
have said that it's probably because of those things that I got shot. I don't know. Nor does the Sri Lanka police. But that's another story for another day.
wasn't the chairman then, right?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. What's happened to this? Is it possible? You're a legal man. Now, this various matters are before court and so on. But you're a legal man. How acceptable is it for tender conditions to be changed midstream?
Unacceptable.
And it's legally should be unacceptable.
Definitely.
Right, which is probably why some of these things have ended up in court.
For us, one thing is, when I came, I said no questions on coal.
Yes, but
but you seem to be going back on an agreement.
Well, the thing is, we did tell you
it was not a gentlemanly agreement. That's why he's going back on it.
No, but
I said for us anything but coal.
Yes, but the thing is, this is current affairs. We said current affairs to you, and this is very much in the minds of the people. And yesterday we had a viewer who responded instantly to us when we said that where have all these viewers gone, because our phone is not buzzing with messages. And so as soon as the show finished, we took a call from a Mr. Amaratunga, and he was obviously been listening to our program because he had a whole list of things that we had spoken of and so on, and he was only really reassuring us that he does listen to both Humpty and Dumpty, as we were referred to yesterday. Again, another story. But now, Mr. Amaratunga, the viewer, will take umbrage if I don't ask you these things. And in any case, these are all in court now. So you're all right. You know,
It's a so I should not be speaking about it.
but the thing is, let's tell our viewers, okay? Here's a coal tender for the supply and delivery of coal to Sri Lanka, to our flagship Newsfirst.lk power plant. 6 tenderers. They make bids. And then it's sort of awarded to the lowest tenderer. Then, one of the aggrieved people, i.e. one of the parties that lost out, has written, sent in submissions, and then they point out to the committee that if you change the size of the coal, which is part of one of the conditions, they are likely to get a better price. So on the very same day, this committee sends instructions to the technical evaluation committee to ignore those conditions and to re-evaluate. And it's not rocket science, but the company that made the suggestion has now become the lowest tenderer. That smacks. That stinks, actually. And in this whole process, what I'd like to ask you is, did y'all have at least the courtesy, if not the professionalism, to refer such a technical thing to the Ceylon Electricity Board, the ultimate user, the end user of this coal, and to see whether it's acceptable in the coal power plant?
For us, we call for the tender,
Yeah.
and then we only perform a very minute part of this tender.
Right.
This tender is processed by 3 bodies.
Okay.
The first body is Lanka Coal Company.
Right.
We call for the tender, we open the documentation, and then we note down the pricing, right? And thereafter our job is over there. Having done that, we transfer the whole thing to the technical evaluation committee.
Yeah.
So this is done to create more transparency.
Yeah.
One is not connected with the other. Right. All I can say is, out of the 6 tenderers, 3 tenderers have written to Lanka Coal and said that they were extremely happy with the transparent manner in which we conducted the tender.
Right.
That is, I'd say it with responsibility.
Right.
I've got the documentation to say that. Thereafter, it is the technical evaluation committee takes on. I have absolutely no influence on the technical evaluation.
Right.
That is headed by a senior officer of the CEB.
Right.
Senior officer of the CEB. So they take that part thereafter. They do the evaluation part of it. Once the evaluation is done, they will give a recommendation to the SCAP. That is the Special Cabinet Appointed Tender Committee. Then the SCAP will decide as to what they have to do.
Right.
So I have no influence on the technical evaluation committee, nor have I got any influence on the Special Cabinet Appointed Tender Committee. So as far as I'm concerned, my job, I have done it well, and I'm very transparent. I can speak only up to that point.
So it's no good me coming and trying to cut a deal with you.
I don't think you should, and I won't will cut deals with you.
No, right.
No.
It won't work because you've got no influence on the TEC. So, you know. Well, I mean, so what's the current form? How come the Newsfirst.lk plant still firing up and producing all this power?
When all this went into litigation mode, I wrote into the secretary to the ministry, and I said we should go for spot tendering.
Right.
So that was agreed upon, and now we have called for spot tenders. And the first spot tender we got the coal at $55.
That's right. Yeah.
And the second spot tender we got it at $51.27.
Right.
So the coal prices in the world are coming down.
Yeah.
So I think the country should benefit out of that.
Yeah. So at the moment, because the world prices are on its way down, Sri Lanka is benefiting from entering the spot market.
Definitely.
But you know, in terms of continuity or stability of the prices, isn't it better long term to have a contract?
Definitely, you should have a contract. Normally, it would have been a contract, a long-term contract,
Right.
because what happens is, for us, it is not as easy as coming and discharging the port in a true to form harbour.
Yeah.
Here, the coal is discharged in mid-ocean.
Right.
Because
Onto
barges.
Okay.
Onto barges. So and then the barges are brought to the jetty, and from the jetty it is transferred by conveyor belt, about a kilometer long conveyor belt, to the yard. So all these, there are so many improbabilities which can happen. Sometimes the belts can break, the barges can be late, the sea can get rough, the cranes can malfunction. So therefore, if it is a long-term contract, the person who is doing it for 2 or 3 years can gear himself in such a way that he delivers 2.5 million tons of coal to the jetty, to the yard. Now, if that does not happen, what happens is our 3 turbines, the Norochole 3 turbines, will stop functioning, or it can stop functioning, and that means we lose 55% of the supply for the country. So the Norochole power plant supplies 50 to 55% of Sri Lanka's power need at the moment.
Are you planning to buy shares in Australian coal mines? I know there were discussions
I don't
earlier.
think, Mr. Jayasekara, that's going to happen right now, because there is so much of problems and turmoil with regard to the tender. I think, as far as said, 2 or 3 people have gone to court. Matter is before court, and so therefore I don't think it's going to happen right now. Until, if there is a 3-year period, if someone is given the contract, then things will smoothen down. It will stabilize. So then you can think about things. But when there is ups and downs always going on like this, it is difficult for someone to sit down and
to be unfair on our very dear finance minister, to find the capital to go and invest in in the stock market outside, when we've got such a big issue going on about our very own stock market, and which the head of the SEC, Mr. Tilak Karunaratne, told us last week that he'll come on the show, and unfortunately he hasn't, but he will. And then we'll have him on the show and get him to update us. Isn't that a good idea?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Bandula, the other thing is, now you remember there was the central bank went and invested in some Greek bonds.
Yes.
So these are areas
sensitive,
you try to get into. You can get into the firing line from the public and the media and things like that. So I of course feel it is better to stabilize and see that the plant is functioning properly, and now we are also starting to move the coal from Trincomalee for us, by rail. So the Trincomalee port will benefit. Then the transport ministry will benefit.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, and it's so interesting. We really should have had an hour today. We'll talk to the big chiefs about these things.
And discuss coal.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Bandula.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Karunaratne, for being on our show.
Thank you.
It's please come back and let's continue the.
Please invite me.
We will. Weakness of attitude becomes, or can become, weakness of character, and that's why we brought this story about Lanka coal to you on this wet morning. But on that note, let me wish you a good day, and do take care.
Thank you.